Hey folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today we're going to be playing with Fine and Andy's Green Saga Stax deck. I want to start out by saying, this is an untested deck list. Matches have never been played with this. We're just going to see how it goes. This was purely theory crafted, and I polished up the deck list a little bit. So conceptually, what's the idea? The idea is that we want to be a smokestacks deck. In case you're not familiar with this old Legacy card, at the beginning of your upkeep, you can put a soot counter on it. And at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a permanent for each soot counter on Smokestack. So generally speaking, our idea is to have a Ramunap Excavator or a Crucible of Worlds in play so that we can replay a land from our graveyard every turn. And while Smokestack is getting rid of all of our opponent's permanents, we're just staying at parity because of one of these two effects. So this is kind of like where the name Stax is coming from. This is like the OG of OG like ways to grind your opponents out. Now, this is a mono green deck, but conceptually the way I'm actually viewing this deck is that this is a colorless deck that splashes green, and the mana base reflects this. So if you kind of just take a quick look at the mana, and maybe I should actually physically rearrange this to show this off, let's move these lands around. So of the lands here, 16 of our mana sources do not produce green, and 13 of our mana sources do produce green. So we should be thinking of green as the splash color for this deck rather than one of the primary colors. Rather, like the deck is primarily colorless. Because most of the things we're looking to do, Sphere Resistance and Chalices and Trinispheres as our lock pieces, these things are colorless. So most of the time we're looking to play like a lock piece into a Karn or a smokestack and run over the game that way, or just run over the game by playing out a couple of Urza sagas and then use lock pieces to keep our opponent from doing anything. But the games where we have green, we can maybe repeatedly play Urza Saga from the graveyard, or we can use our first green source to fix for future green sources. I think the only reason this deck can possibly work is actually because of this quiet little card from Modern Horizons 2, Yavimaya Cradle of Growth. This is an Urborg for our forests. So we can turn these 16 lands into lands that actually produce green mana, and that can make it so that we can actually justify playing a couple of very, 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 very good double pip green cards in our sideboard. Most of the sideboard here is dedicated to being a Karn the Great Creator wish package, and the original version I think had 3 smokestacks in the main deck, but I wanted to move one to the sideboard so that I could wish for it. So mostly, other than a couple of chokes, which are for all the various blue decks like Bat Flash that are running around right now, we have Endurance to sideboard in versus Fair Creature decks, so we don't just get run over early. And those can also be Hate versus various graveyard decks. That's why we can get away without running Leyline of the Void. And they can also come in versus things like Death and Taxes. It's weird that Endurance is a card that is like simultaneously good versus Death and Taxes and Dredge and Doomsday. But here we are. I think that's really all I have to say. It's possible this deck is a little bit too greedy with its mana base, and we can't get away with running the Endurances, or there needs to be a few more green sources in the main deck. But again, this is a completely untested brew, so we'll see how it goes. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing for Legacy, Modern, and Vintage content 7 days a week. And if you are subscribed, throw me a like before we get started. It's one of the easiest ways to help me do good content and whatnot. All right, let's battle. Okay, opening hand here has a turn 2 Chalice of the Void, and then I kind of get stuck, and I think if I don't draw a land, I'm just going to lose the game, so I'm going to mulligan this one. This is a much better hand. It asks a question with Trinisphere on turn 2. It has the ability to produce a lot of constructs. I think I'm going to be keeping this hand. And I think I'll pitch the second Karn here. So I believe I am never going to want to play Karn on turn 2. I think I am always going to want to play Trinisphere. Like, Ancient Tomb Trinisphere is just so good at the beginning of a game. Better on turn 1, obviously. But it is something that is going to require an answer from my opponent. Okay, Tropical Island, Delver. I still believe it is correct to attempt the Trinisphere on my turn. The Ancient Tomb is not the best land against a Delver deck, especially one that sticks a creature on turn 1. But I think I just need to ask the question, like, can you answer this Trinisphere? Alright, Delver does not flip. Good news for Phil fans. More other Delver. I'm gonna get run over. This is what the pile of endurances in the sideboard are for. What sort of shenanigans do I have in here? Ensnaring Bridge? Ensnaring Bridge is very good. Can I work towards emptying my hand that quickly? The Delver's flip, I just take like 8 in this turn cycle due to my own Ancient Tomb. I think I have to work towards getting an Ensnaring Bridge into play. So let's do that around days. I can potentially get my City of Traders back with Ramunap Excavator later. Okay, cool. We did not run into a double Force of Will situation, which would have been pretty devastating. There is also Wormcoil Engine, but I think I like the Ensnaring Bridge better. Like, if I get Wormcoil Engine and then I just get Wastelanded, it's real awkward. I'll have 6 mana next turn. Oh, am I just getting Lightning Bolted? I'm not just getting Lightning Bolted. How about in my end step, though? There we go. Goodbye, Karn. Now, if I could ask a favor, the Delver's not flipping here would be real nice. Thank you. Oh, that is so good. And that is why we did not get Wormcoil Engine. I can maybe, like, beat some Delvers. That's not bad. I want to play this turn cycle. I'd prefer the Delvers to flip in some ways prior to playing this Ensnaring Bridge. Urza's Saga can get Retrofitter Foundry a couple turns down the line. The Pithing Needle's not relevant. The Chalice and Zero is not relevant. I think I'm going to allow myself to potentially get dazed here, but I don't want to take damage if I don't have to. So I'm going to play out this Ramunap Excavator into daze and avoid taking damage off Ancient Tomb. Okay, cool. And then this way, I can City of Traders from my graveyard next turn, if that's something that ends up being a good idea for me to do. Alright, the Delvers are flipping to daze. I'm going to need to keep this in mind for the rest of the game here. I go to 7. Alright. Don't mind that. So, if this bridge resolves, life is actually pretty good. I'm going to play Urza Saga. It can tick up, and I will attempt Ensnaring Bridge, and I get to do it around Spell Pierce and around Daze. Okay, what are we doing? We are doing Daze. I'm going to play around double Daze here. I am going to pay the life for this. That's just something that makes sense to me here. Okay, I was successful. You just have Brazen Borrower? The daggers if they do. Fuck. Okay, so that means I am taking 6 in the air and I am dead. GG. That happens. Okay, so I have 4 copies of Endurance to bring in to make it so that I just don't die to my opponent's creatures. And so, like, the next question becomes, like, am I also choking? I feel like Fear of Resistance making my own spells cost more is no bueno. I think I'm going to sub Endurance for those as my starting point. I don't think Dryad is doing a lot here. It's sort of neat when you also have a Crucible or a Ramunap, but otherwise I feel like it's a little weak. Get 2 chokes in for those. And now it's just a question of, like, do I want the 3rd choke over any other card that's in this deck? Probably the Pithing Needle. Like, the Pithing Needle on fetch lands is kind of weak. Let's try this. Alright, opening hand. This is a bit of a slow opening hand, despite the fact that it has a Soul Ring. Or not a Soul Ring, a Soul Land. Is this fine, just having 4 lands in my opening hand? It might be. Let's keep this and see where it goes. Like, this is a hand where I can just plan on playing around days. Just plan on going, like, Forest Pass into Wasteland Pass into, like Ramunap around days off City of Traders or something like that. I don't know. The hand is just fine. It's not good, it's just fine. Another wasteland. Well, can we try for the free one? Try for the free one. Alright. Doing this makes it less likely that I'll play Ramunap around days. Alright, Brainstorm is the follow-up. I'm gonna go to 17. I have a Karn. Yeah, so I think I just go ahead and jam Ramunap into days, trying to get that card out of their hand. Okay, no days. They could just have a lightning bolt for it, in which case it doesn't make sense to days. Okay, yep, it is seeming like that is the case. Lightning bolt confirmed. So generally speaking, a lot of these prison decks just have trouble with the Delver matchup, as you see here. Like, they're just a little clunky and slow to get going, and when the Delver deck has a turn 1 creature, you just end up falling behind the curve a little bit too much. Okay, a Tropical Island, and another Delver. Oh boy. Mox Diamond is incredibly good here. I cannot overstate how good this Mox Diamond is. So it allows me to have endurance at instant speed on my opponent's turn in combat. And like actually potentially take out a Delver by surprise. Otherwise I was going to have to like play the endurance at sorcery speed on my turn. Come and get me. Here we go, endurance. Get on in there. Please resolve. Oh no. That probably means that I can't win. Like, if my opponent attacks me one more time, I will just be in lightning bolt range, and Smokestack does not immediately kill one of my... Yeah. Okay, we're donezo. I'll take a draw step, like, in case I draw endurance specifically. Oh, I think my opponent has Hooting Mandrills too. Yep. No way we're winning here. Okay. Choke, not quite what we're looking for here. I will be conceding. I don't think we're beating Delver with this deck the majority of the time. The endurances help, like as we saw there, like if that would have resolved, it would have like kept Hooting Mandrills from being cast and killed the Delver and walled the Delver again. But if that card doesn't resolve, this happens. Okay, opening hand here has a turn 2 sphere, and then I won't be able to cast anything. This one has to be a mulligan. This hand goes Wasteland, Pithing Needle, Urza Saga turn 2, followed by Sphere of Resistance. If I draw one land in 2 draws, this hand is pretty good. Otherwise it does legit nothing. I throw back the Karn with this hand. Oh no, I probably throw back a Ramunap with this hand. Okay, what would I Pithing Needle on turn 1? That's a really good question. Like, is my opponent known for playing any one deck in particular? Let's start there. Disgruntled _ elk. In Legacy, they are known for playing blue, which is, it looks like, the whole like Urza's Saga Echo sort of deck, like Karns, more other Karns, Urza, Trinket Mage, that sort of stuff. There's too many targets for me to hit naming blind here. I think I'm gonna mulligan again. Oh no. Nope. Nope. Mulligan to 4. How's this as a 4-card hand? 1. I'm too far away from Mox Opal right now. The Mox Diamonds aren't great. I just keep 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, I guess. Yeah. That's not the best. We're gonna play Ancient Tomb out on turn 1 and hope to just draw a soul land so that I can play Karn on turn 2. Because like that is the sort of hand that if it resolves it could be good enough to just be mulliganing into the Abyss for. Nope, get fucked, Phil. Well, we would have had it. But I guess we can look at Karning when I'm at 3 lands. Okay. We are playing against Death and Taxes, and it is probably incorrect for me to play this Sphere of Resistance because they have Aether Vial in play now. Yep, I guess we're just playing Wasteland and passing, and then I play Karn next turn and hope that I can plus that thing into Oblivion without my opponent doing anything cool. Skyclave Apparition a few turns down the line will like wreck whatever is remaining of this hand. Fuck. I think I'm just gonna Wasteland this for Schadenport. I don't wanna play this game. Am I doing that? I guess I'm doing that. I just Wastelanded my opponent. But my opponent's Aether Vial is just so incredibly good here. Okay. No Mother of Runes. Alright. No 2-drops that they can cast. Alright, Thalia. Thalia is pretty crippling here. Yeah, that keeps me from casting this card. And I probably can't play my Sphere still. Alright. The mulligans followed by this Thalia together, and the like Wasteland plus for Schadenport, like all that put together is really putting a pinch on my mana. Like I need to draw a soul land in order to ever be able to Karn. There is now a long pause. Don't like this pause. Okay, they are legend ruling a Caracas in order to play a spell. How bad is it? Very bad. Like, this doesn't immediately start getting me dead, but it just means that my opponent gets to ignore the Trinosphere for the whole rest of the game. This is good, though. This is real good. So this walls the Thalia, and now there's like various degrees of greed I can go. I think I am supposed to just play the Ancient Tomb, sacrifice the city, replay city on my turn, and then play Karn. We'll see if my opponent just has like a Skyclave. How am I going to respond to that? Like, I respect the bluff, but like, what am I going to do in my Ancient Tomb deck with Trinosphere in play? Okay, Jitte is a little scary. I'd love to draw the other Karn. Okay, so I can make a 2/2 construct, and my opponent can have like Thalia bounce block shenanigans. I think that's fine. Alright, so let's do this. Go up the scale to 5 whopping mana and Karn. Let's minus for the construct, and then I'll pass the turn. Alright. Okay, they do have a Mother of Runes, and that's a-okay with me. Well, only kind of a-okay with me. Like, the pro-green is actually relevant here until I get a little bit bigger. Alright, more Mother of Runes. Classic trick of respond to your own Aether Vial trigger by tapping the vial so that they can move that up to 2 while also getting a 1-drop in this turn. Bread and butter D&T tricks. Alright, so my Karn is getting attacked. I believe I just want to block with Ramunap, and then like minus have 2 3/3s, and I can play a new Ramunap and then keep playing lands from my graveyard and whatnot. I think that's fine. I will lose the Ramunap this turn. My opponent just does first strike damage, lets the Jitte trigger resolve, and then minuses on my Ramunap, so I'm not actually going to trade with this Thalia. My opponent could also just like protect with Mother of Runes. Nope. Alright, goodbye Ramunap. What's the draw? Draw is just a land. Okay, so easy starting point. Let's make the construct. And I think I go 3 for a new Ramunap. And I guess let's just take the value and play the Wasteland from the yard. I lose City of Traders in process. And then I can play out this Sphere of Resistance in order to grow my constructs to 4/4s. And then I don't get just destroyed by Thalia and Jitte quite as easily in combat. The Jitte is still going to dominate combat, but there's hope for me now. So if my opponent pumps, they kill one of my constructs with first strike, then they could get 2 counters, buff Thalia twice, turn Thalia into something that has 5 toughness. Or no, they don't have to buff once because I would lose a construct. Yeah, things are a little weird. I wonder if my opponent is supposed to give pro green here before crashing in. Because I think if my opponent just like attacks in, I'm just gonna jump block with ramming up. Okay, yeah, so that is what they're doing. They're going pro green. I'm gonna let the Karn go and hope that I can like draw a new Karn of either variety or something. Yeah, I'll let it go. Goodbye, Karn. You did good work. We'll see if my opponent wants to kill my ramming up using all of their available Jitte counters. I think the answer is no. Because like it's so important to be able to dominate the constructs in combat. Oh, Swords to Plowshares. Yeah. Oh, new Karn. I mean, that's insane. Just absolutely insane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh no, it costs 6. It costs 6 because of the Sphere of Resistance I played to make these larger. Oh, that's unfortunate. I mean, I can do it next turn, but I was hoping to be able to do it this turn by playing this from Graveyard. Swords to Plowshares ruins that plan. That's okay. I can't really attack because I would end up trading a construct for a Mother of Runes. 3 Jitte counters. Yep. We're gonna chill. Alright. On paper, I'm only taking 2 this turn, so it doesn't look that bad, right? Right? Oh, it's actually not great for me. We'll see if my opponent wants to cash in any of these counters for damage. Nope. So now this can cleanly trade with a construct if that's something my opponent wants to do. Alright. Yeah. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, new Karn. And we'll minus this Karn. And these turn into 5/5s. This Jitte is still just making combat very difficult for me. And it's possible I'm supposed to just crash in with the 2 constructs there. Okay, my Karn is getting attacked. I think I just let Karn go? I think I just let Karn go. I think I'm really playing towards drawing Karn the Great Creator and just shutting off Jitte, and then I dominate combat via constructs. I'm just falling behind here. Okay. And my opponent has wisely moved the Jitte around. So for 4 mana, I can play a Trinisphere. And then it makes all of these into 6/6s. And life is still just awkward for me in terms of combat because of this Jitte. This is the price of not like playing blue decks that get to cantrip towards the cards they are specifically looking for. I kind of just have to pray. But this is a much better game than I expected for, what was it, a Mold of 4? Like with a couple more cards, like we'd be in business here. Alright, is the entire gang going in front of this? Thalia can go to 14. Oh geez, I have to start thinking about like my creatures getting smaller after first strike damage. So 14. They can assign 6 plus 5 to kill the first 2, and then I will have a 4/4. Yeah, so I guess I just chump block. Yeah, I guess I just chump block. That's not good. Yeah, so this gets a couple of Jitte counters out of there, but like doesn't actually get me to where I need to be. I'm fine if I can shut off this Jitte, because like my opponent hasn't converted any of it into damage. But my opponent has a lot of draws, Recruiters and Flicker Wisps and Skyclaves that are just like disgustingly good against me. Oh, okay, there we go. Sick. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Karn. Okay, so my opponent is going to take out one of my constructs in response. That's fine. Honestly, if my opponent doesn't have more creatures off the Aether Vial right now, I might be stabilized just from this one card. Okay, yeah, so they don't have more. So I am just going to Karn plus, and I'm just going to turn Trinisphere into a 3/3 here. And then I hold down the fort relatively well. And I can start looking at various lock pieces. So Warm Coil Engine is sick, Ensnaring Bridge is sick. Just ending the game with Mycosynth Lattice is also good. We'll see what my opponent has here. Batterskull? Oh, okay. Oh, so they probably forgot about the sphere. So it seems like they have Batterskull in hand, but can't actually cast it. Nice. So my Ancient Tomb is going to get ported down here. Yep. Oh, a new Karn. That insurance plan is nice. Alright, view sideboard. Is this just liquid metal coating? Maybe it's just Sorcerer Spyglass. It could also just be like playing the Trinosphere out and just continuing to plus on my creatures. Yeah, I don't, oh, this costs 5. Okay, so that's not the line. Yeah, let's grab liquid metal coating. We'll use this ability, yes. Liquid metal coating, which costs 4 right now. This continues to grow my construct that's in play, defending everything. And then I can start working on like destroying my opponent's Rishadan port and getting to the point where I can actually win the game with the Karn instead of just like holding parity. I'm junking the Karakas here so that my opponent can't just like attack in with all their creatures and then bounce their Thalia. Okay, they have a Stoneforge Mystic. Please don't have Kaldra. Oh shit, they have Kaldra. Okay. Alright, so Karn is getting attacked by everything here. I will use this opportunity to kill the Thalia, make it easier to cast my own stuff, and my Karn can take a little bit of damage. Alright, good stuff. Karn's still at 2, so Karn can still tutor, assuming tutoring is what I want to do. I have the Karn, so I can relock up the Aether Vials and Jetés and such later. You have 2 mana. What are you doing? Yeah. Alright, so Rishadan Port happens. Yep. Okay, so now I can minus Karn and get Ensnaring Bridge. Is that correct? Probably. I can't quite dump everything out of my hand. This would turn Jeté back on, which is a little awkward. The Stoneforge specifically provides so much more pressure than what I was expecting. Yeah, I mean, this probably has to happen. Go back, Karn. We'll use the ability. I'll pick up Ensnaring Bridge. For a discount of a whopping 4 mana, I get to Ensnaring Bridge. Now, there is sort of a cool trick. It looks like my liquid metal coating doesn't actually do anything. That's not actually the case, because I can activate it to increase the size of my construct by 1. Oh, man, opponent, you should have put that into play. Like, if you put that into play, I just don't get to Ensnaring Bridge. We'll see, opponent might just have a Flicker Wisp or a Skyclave Apparition, and all of this is moot anyway. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put the construct in front of this to just eat up as much damage as possible. Alright, so we'll put this here, and then my opponent will pump 3 times. 1, a 2, a 3. And now, do one of these. I don't think it matters on what land. And I will grow this to a 7/7 so that I actually trade in combat. My opponent will be left with Jeté counters afterwards, but hopefully that doesn't matter too much. We'll see if my opponent knows the trick of turn Stoneforge into a 0/1 attack with it, then pump using Jeté counters to do some damage through an Ensnaring Bridge. They know that trick. This game gets a lot harder. And they've moved their equipment to the appropriate creature to do said trick. Yeah. Okay, good. I needed to land there. Oh, actually it's not enough because it's Sphere and Thalia. So this costs 6. Okay. So I'm deterministically dead. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 incoming damage. And I'll have 2 cards in hand. Yes, I am deterministically dead, unfortunately. Damn, we were so close to turning that around on a Mull to 4. GG. Alright, we've got 4 cards to board in here. We have 4 copies of Endurance. I think all the rest of the stuff will probably just stay in the sideboard. It's possible I should board in the Crucible of Worlds directly. As we saw this game, the Sphere of Resistance is 100% worked against me, so those are going out. Chalice and Trinosphere are both kind of whatever. Maybe let's sub a Trinosphere for a Sorcerer Spyglass. I don't see myself really wanting to Karn for that. Like, I see myself wanting to Karn for one of these cards most of the time. So maybe I'll even Crucible in and another Trinisphere out. That's fine. This is going to be a slog of a match, though, if game 1 lasted that long. Alright, I would like to play first. This hand's actually pretty good. So I think I keep this and then just Sorcerer Spyglass on turn 1 rather than Urza Saga-ing on turn 1. Maybe I Urza Saga, though. It's just so much worse if I get Wastelanded. Yeah, I'm just going to Sorcerer Spyglass on turn 1 and shut off Wasteland. Unless my opponent kept a bad Aether Vial hand, in which case I might have some thinking to do. Nope, they kept the Wasteland hand that I am going to shut off. Really glad I played around that. Metaphorical pat on the back deserved. And then I'm just going to play like Urza Saga Crucible and be in really good shape. Urza Saga. Come on in, Mox Opal. The water is fine. You also give me green mana beginning this turn, which is cool. This is a powerful start. I'm very happy with this. So my opponent's turn is just going to look like Schaden porting my Urza Saga. Oh, no, that was probably a mistake. So now if I have any mana source, I just get to make a construct token, whereas they could have prevented me from making that construct token. As luck would have it, I don't have another mana source, so I don't get to punish their line, but I think you're supposed to tap down the Urza Saga. That's all fine. Man, shutting off Wasteland just really impacted their hand. Okay, Thalia is fine here. Okay, so now I will activate this, and it's totally fine to lose the life. I will make my construct, and then we're gonna get to do some soul searching. Do I want Retrofitter Foundry? I don't think I need that immediately. I think I'm just gonna take Pithing Needle and shut off Rishaden Port. Rishaden Port. Okay, do I want to Urza Saga immediately, or do I want to play Tireless Tracker? I think I want to Urza Saga immediately. Like, I don't get to cast a spell this turn, but I don't really think I need to cast spells this game. I am putting a lot of pressure on my opponent in terms of, like, the inevitability I have with Urza's Saga and Crucible of Worlds. And all of the ways that they have to interact are sort of leading, might be an okay word. Like, they can Flicker Wisp a construct, they can Source to Plowshare as a construct. Like, they can Flicker Wisp out one of my permanents and, like, Wasteland me or something, but they don't have a way to, like, pull inevitability on me currently. Oh, now Skyclave is very good. Goodbye to Crucible. Do I have a Hello Moto? Okay. Oh, well, there is another Crucible effect, which is strong. I don't think I play that this turn. I think this is a Tireless Tracker turn. It could just be a Karn. Can I Karn and Construct? No. 1 mana short there. What stuff do I have in the sideboard again? Okay, stuff. Yeah, I think I just want a Tireless Tracker here. So let's go green in 1. Tireless Tracker. Then I'll play City of Traders. Let's always yield to this sucker. This is going to be a 6/6 on attack. So I'm good to crash in. I'll have 2 of these. And now it just feels like my opponent's resources are just a little bit overtaxed. All right, no blocks. Let's go ahead and activate this then. Yeah, I am ready for a Moto restart, though. I'm going to restart in between games here, I think. I'm just losing a little bit too much time to lag for my liking. Like, I'm down on time in the first place because this is such a slog. Alright, there's the Wasteland. Wait, Solitude. Dunking the Tireless Tracker. I mean, that's fine. I still just have the larger creatures here by a pretty good margin. Alright. Go ahead and activate this. And now I'll search for a Retrofitter Foundry. And I think I just immediately activate that. Yeah, I think I'm just going to immediately activate that. Goodbye city. Hello new Urza Saga. Hello larger creatures. Swinging in for 18 damage. Alright, looks like Thalia is jumping in front of the metaphorical bus. Oh, I guess I should, like, on F6 to crack this clue token, but I think it's honestly just better sitting in play as an artifact than anything else. Alright, Flicker Wisp, blinks a construct. My opponent has Swords to Plowshares for another construct. Okay, my opponent has cast an Aether Vial. That's fine. I gain this ability. Try not to think too much about my plays here. I'm trying to just make plays and then turn my creatures sideways. I am losing a lot of block. Alright, so activate this. And then I get to attack with two 10/10s. One of them will get Swords to Plowshared, the other will get chump blocked. Alright, as predicted. And sorry if this looks choppy on your end, because it looks choppy on my end too. Alright, opponent is tapping some mana for something. A Skyclave? Sure. Alright, that took the Retrofitter Foundry. I still have two 8/8s, soon to be three 8/8s though. I'll activate this. Make my Deuter. I'll just take a Mox Diamond out of my deck. I have 2 mana available, so I'm not going to cast any spells. I'll just send in with two 9/9s. Okay, opponent's going to take some chump blocks here, give me more creatures. But I think they're on sort of a Cataclysm or Bust sort of situation. And again, I'm just going to F6 through my opponent's turn. It's possible I'll want to, like, grab that clue in response to a Cataclysm, but I think I need to just, like, respect my own clock here more so than anything else. Attack all. Okay, and there's the concession. I think I'm going to take a minute and restart the client. I'm getting so much lag here. Okay, I have returned. I have to redo my sideboarding because when you restart the client, it undoes all of your sideboarding for reasons I've never quite figured out. Okay, so I think I went Endurance for those. I think I went Trinisphere out for a Sorcerous Spyglass, and I think I subbed another Trinisphere for another Crucible of Worlds. That looks like what I did. I do have to win the game incredibly quickly here. This is not enough mana. This is enough mana. I think Chalice goes here. My opponent's going to get to deploy their 1-drops before I can do a lot of stuff anyway. Alright, Plains go. Forest go. Alright, Port. Thalia, sure. I think I actually wasteland my opponent here, as weird as that sounds, like in the face of a Thalia. Just feels correct to me. Do that. Okay, opponent does have more lands, so that's fine. I am good with exposing this to a Swords to Plowshares, because the upside of it sticking around is massive, and if it trades with Swords to Plowshares, it trades with Swords to Plowshares, and if it doesn't, it comes up the board and Thalia doesn't get to attack in anymore, and it becomes easier for me to just, like, Karn or something. Okay, yeah, Skyclave is fine. By Karn, it is a 2/2 token, which can trade with that. I think I wait a turn and do this. Like, I need to get moving in terms of winning this game, but I also just need to make sure that I play in a way that takes the most advantage of my cards. And I think these Karn constructs starting out as 3/3s is way better than them starting out as 2/2s. Okay, Recruiter is scary. Recruiter gets like Flicker Wisp or worse. But I think Flicker Wisp is about as bad as it gets. Fuck me, Kataki? God damn it. Okay. I don't, oh god, like Kataki plus a Wasteland. Alright, I am not going to beat that. Just being real. I'll try, but that is a card that is specifically in there to counter a strategy like what I am doing. And it is going to do exactly that. I've played out the Mox Opal, I guess. Yeah. Looks like my opponent is not even going to just need the Kataki. They are going to beat me without it. This is so much more of a high velocity game than the previous game. Oh, that's really good. I guess I do want to cast this. I'll still have like the mid-combat endurance and get a blowout. I would have really preferred like killing the Kataki with this, but like beggars can't be choosers, right? I have to stem the bleeding right now. And those lands can get shuffled back into your deck and dilute your deck. I am going to block the creature that gives me a body here. I also just don't want my opponent to like blink that thing later and just be able to take out like Endurance and Crucible and whatnot. Yeah. Alright, so I think I need to always yield to this stuff just for the sake of time. Yes. Didn't always yield to all of those. I needed to. You can come into play. Race. How do you do this? I have to work towards winning by attacking. And this Kataki is going to eat up so much of my time. Alright, sure. Okay, that gets Kaldra, which is going to beat me. Okay. I guess yes. Yes. I am not sure how exactly I am supposed to win from here. Like, I don't really have answers to the Kaldra that are easy. I guess I just have to like keep my mana ticking up and hope that I can Ensnaring Bridge. Maybe I'm supposed to play lands from hand there. Yeah, maybe like I have to play lands from hand and work towards winning the game in that capacity. And I'm not going to pay to prevent that. I need to be able to do 5 mana this turn. Well, that is not 5 mana. Let's do that. Do this. Make one of these. I guess crack one of these. Question mark, question mark, question mark. I don't really have time to think about these decisions. Like, I am both under the gun and just in a horrible spot. Aldra just beats everything in combat. You don't have to pay that tax. Aldra is indestructible. Okay. Recruiter of the Guard. That just gets to get another Skyclave and work towards shutting me out. Oh, Solitude. That's pretty good too. Yep. Junk that. Okay. Yep. This thing just rumbles in combat in a way that like basically nothing else in the format does. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is Karn mana, and then I'm not at Ensnaring Bridge mana. I guess I like get rid of both of these and hope to draw something. I don't know what I'm playing towards, which is bad. But Ancient Tomb is not it. I guess technically I can like do one of these, do this, crack this, I guess using life, question mark. But I can't think of outs that I have. That is not it. I will concede. GG's, opponent. Might have been able to beat that if not for Kataki. Like, maybe I can find a way to finagle through Kaldra, but like Kataki putting all that pressure on my mana for multiple turns was just horrifying. Okay, opening hand here is a little weird in that there's a lot of different ways this could play. Regardless, I think this hand ends up being a keep, and we'll figure out what is best to do based on what my opponent does. Alright, we are playing against Painter. So, I probably... So the sphere is the thing that makes it least likely that I get combo killed next turn. But the sphere means that I can't just ramming up Excavator next turn, which I think is something I want to do almost 100% of the time. So instead, I think I'm going to play Chalice on 1 in this turn cycle. And if this game goes long, this prevents me from getting, like, Goblin Welder ground out or my stuff blasted. But it's very possible my opponent could just go, like, Land Painter, LED, and I die. Yup. So this is the worst case scenario where I just die immediately because I didn't play Sphere of Resistance. But if my opponent had both pieces, naturally, there wasn't a lot I could do in a game 1 scenario. GG. Next game. Okay. So the bad news is my interaction is not really great against my opponent. I think I need just some more bodies in here. I think I'm going to bring these Endurances in. They can hate on the graveyard, which is relevant versus Goblin Engineer and Goblin Welder. I want to junk these too. I think I want a Sorcerer Spyglass. I think I want the Crucible Wasteland lock to be more consistent. And I think I'm going to go this route too. So we're going to try to control my opponent's permanents and graveyards a little bit harder. All right, what's the opener look like? This is a turn 3 Karn. That's pretty good. Turn 1 land pass, turn 2 city. Tracker, turn 3 Karn. Or smokestack if I want to get saucy, but I think just having the Karn in play ASAP is very important. What do you have? Grindstone, sure. A Mox Diamond, I like it. I will in fact play it. I'll discard my forest, play my city, play my Karn, and we are going to minus, and I think just pick up Liquid Metal Coating here. Yeah, let's pick up Liquid Metal Coating. Just work on destroying my opponent's lands via Karn, and like while those activated abilities are shut off, that means my opponent's life should be pretty difficult. We might just have like one shutout game followed by another immediate shutout game. Yep, that's not mana. Okay. So let's Liquid Metal Coating. I will turn your mountain into an artifact. Now, do you have a braid? Yep. I mean, that's fine. Like, I am going to get a braid and, you know, a stone rain out of my first Karn minus. That's totally fine. And I can just be threatening the Mycosynth Lattice win. And I also just have some other annoying bullshit in here that I can do. Sure. Everything is blue. How do I want to play this turn? I can play Smokestack and plus on it, which is kind of funny. Do I have anything in sideboard that's cuter? Slash better? I can also just, like, go for a mid-combat endurance. I think that's totally fine, too. I'm just going to permanently kill that Lotus Petal. And pass the turn. Go for the mid-combat endurance. Goblin Engineer is fine. Like, I have endurance. Is real sick here. See if I can also eat a Painter's Servant mid-combat. Ooh, Ensnaring Bridge, sure. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's endurance time. This is a devastating blowout. Yeah, we can go to the next phase. I don't need that mana where I'm going. So this nuked the graveyard. It killed a painter. Okay, opponent has a new land. That's fine. New painter. That's also fine. Okay. I have an Ancient Tomb. Which means that I just have the Mycosynth Lattice lock this turn. Yes. Mycosynth Lattice. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, yep. Opponent sees the writing on the wall. Okay, do I want to change anything about sideboarding? No, I don't think I do. Okay. This hand has two different ways of interacting with my opponent's combo, plus endurance to serve as a piece of graveyard hate. This hand is totally reasonable. Doesn't do anything like hyper impressive, but it should be, excuse me, pretty hard for me to die quickly. Rhinestone LED crack, fuck you. Okay. So, I think we're just starting off by shutting off Grindstone, despite the fact that my opponent has Goblin Welder. Grindstone. I do have a pitch endurance available if my opponent starts getting cute with welder stuff. But I will be trying not to use that stuff. Okay. I mean, that's the combo. So, we will live in fear. Okay. I needled that. You don't get to do that. Alright, new redundant Painter Servant. Sure. Unsurprisingly, also on blue. Alright, I will take a little bit of damage here, that's fine. I am really not worried about dying to damage in this matchup. Wasteland this turn? Wasteland this turn seems fine. So let's play this super safe. Okay, my opponent is going to get a little bit of mana on their way out the door. I am fine with that. Unless this is a blast immediately. Okay, it is a blast. So this needs to also name Grindstone for the redundancy. And one of these will get blasted, either now or later. I don't know if it's worth using the Lotus Petal now for, like, this red mana will still be available later, like via that same Lotus Petal. So, 1 damage. That's fine. And then I can start thinking about putting the squeeze on my opponent's mana. Oh, baby. Yeah. I'm going to junk your Ancient Tomb. And then I am going to junk your City of Traders. And then I have like Crucible and Ramunap Excavator to recur my land drops a little bit later. Oh, you want to attack my lands after I attack your lands? That's fine. I do not care. That's a bold play. Do I want to nuke the graveyard? I don't want to nuke the graveyard. Like they can have 2 to 3 damage here. And then I'll just like put Crucible Snake into play. And I will gum up the board. And I'm not losing to the combo immediately. I'm not just refusing to attack with the Goblin Welder. Which I get. But if your plan is like, I am going to try to blow up your land, it seems kind of like you want to go all in on the aggression. Sure. What do you got? Blood Moon. Yeah, that's fine. Alright. Land to go. I get a little bit slower, and I do have to draw 1 land before I get into, like, Crucible recursion territory, but I think it's fine. Alright, now they are on the I'm going to hit you with both creatures plan. Okay. Land go. There's a mountain now. Sure, that's fine. Again, as long as I hit any land drop in the next couple of turns, all of these like little chip attacks don't actually mean anything. Or we can draw a billion 3-drops and die. I'm okay with that too. Like if the game plays out that way, the game plays out that way. But I am pretty happy with how I've handled things thus far, and I don't think I was supposed to like exile my Ramunap Excavator or just like stopping my opponent from getting a Lotus Petal. That is admittedly a little bit annoying, but again, if I hit land drops, it's okay. If I might just die. I now need to hit running land drops or I die. This is 6. Okay, now I'm gonna hit for 3. If I draw a land, there's no 2-drop that stops damage. I am dead to that. GG's. I don't regret how I played that one out. Like I don't regret like holding the endurance back. But you know, we drew a lot of non-lands there at the end. That's okay. Okay, let's see. I believe this is now round 4. How's my opening hand look? Too much Karn. This hand probably doesn't get anywhere. Hey, okay, what does this one do? This one poops on a combo deck. That's what this one does. I'm gonna keep this. Like looking at the lands that I have here, it's gonna be really awkward to actually try and use Retrofitter Foundry as a win condition. So despite the fact that the second Trinisphere maybe doesn't do anything, I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that back. This makes me better against like duress sort of effects if I am paired against a combo deck. But like, please don't be Delver, because we're so dead to just a turn 1 Delver with this hand. Okay. Please don't be Delver, please don't be Delver, please don't be Delver, please don't be Delver. Okay, cool. My opponent just fetched around a Stifle. Ooh. I'm gonna go ahead and Mox Diamond here. Discard the Wasteland. Play the Ancient Tomb. And we're gonna go for Trinisphere on turn 1. Will it resolve? If it doesn't, I will try again next turn. Hot damn. Oh no. Wasteland! Wasteland, why have you betrayed me? Straight up don't know what my opponent is playing though, like leading on Plains or Urza Saga. That's a little weird. Okay, how bad for me is like a Chalice on 2? Is that something I want to do? Not bad actually. If this is Affinity, and this is a big if this is Affinity and it's like blue-white Affinity with the Esper Sentinels and Aethersworn Canonists, then a Chalice on 2 is at least somewhat relevant. See if I can remember how to cast Chalice through this. X is currently 2. Done. Oh yeah, it's fine unless it's a Chalice on 1. Then you have to like jump through some hoops to actually do it. Okay, it has resolved. There was a long pause, which I don't understand why there was a long pause, because, like, there's literally nothing my opponent can cast through a Trinisphere. Alright, Urza Saga ticks up. More fetch lands. Okay. You're gonna fetch. I have a Karn. 2, 4, 5 mana. This is just gonna be an ensnaring bridge game. Could just be an ensnaring bridge game. See how this goes. This isn't the best ensnaring bridge game because just straight up getting Force of Willed. Excuse me, was that a Thopter Foundry? That was a Thopter Foundry. Okay, so putting this on 2 was indeed a good call. And we have prevented one construct from hitting play by forcing our opponent to force. Thing is that my opponent is going to get one construct here, and I just have nothing to get in its way currently. So we are playing against a blue-white Thopter Foundry control deck, question mark, question mark, question mark. Nice. New Karn. So this stops Retrofitter Foundry from activating. And I think I just want to plus on my Trinisphere here. And make it so that my Trinisphere can block that construct successfully. And then I can maybe start looking at like a Centellatus lock. Swords to Plowshares. Okay. Goodbye, Trinisphere. Which actually might be good for me. So I can Karn minus, grab Ensnaring Bridge, and play Chalice on 1. Or play Chalice on 0 and Sphere of Resistance. Either way, I would like to do this. Yes. Go with Bridge. Chalice on 0? Chalice on 0 is pretty appealing just to get an extra card out of my hand. Now I will Ensnaring Bridge. Now I will Sphere of Resistance, and oh no, it got countered. Oh rats. Darn. So now the fact that my opponent's constructs are going to grow over time is actually a boon for me. I have legitimately no idea what my opponent's deck looks like, so I don't know how many outs they are going to have to something like an Ensnaring Bridge. Ooh, they do have cantrips. We're just gonna take our time here. So I think this is a plus on nothing turn. Yeah, I think this is a plus on nothing turn. Let's do a quick sideboard check to make sure there's not anything just absolutely insane that I can get. Crucible of Worlds is really good. But then I have to worry about like Retrofitter Foundry. Let's plus on nothing. And Trinisphere is fine. I don't think I want to play this land out though. Okay, Force of Negation, pitching, and Urza. Call that a win. Yeah, I think I want to keep my City of Traders. Alright, Urza ticks up. I assume my opponent will still make a construct. Like, assuming they break through eventually, they will kill me pretty quickly. They have a Pithing Needle main deck. They can shut off the Karn, which is strong. That is indeed the case. Okay. That's just your turn. Play that land? Yeah, I probably need to start making land drops. Land go. This is gonna be a long one. This is the sort of game where like it might be decided by the clock as it goes very long. Okay, so they are blue, white, red. What else you got? Oh, prismatic ending. Well, shit. I think, do they just go after me and just ignore Karn completely, by the way? Or do they kill the Karn? I guess they kill the Karn because then they can activate Retrofitter Foundry and just kill me next turn. Yeah, so they activate Retrofitter Foundry and I take 10 and die. Well, damn. So I guess my opponent is actually the Jeskai Standstill deck, and they just kind of had a really... No, they're not the Jeskai Standstill deck because they have the Thopter Foundry. Okay. A bit of a brew. Hard to pin down exactly what they're doing. I think I like the chokes. I imagine the Sphere of Resistances are just going to come out. I haven't been super pleased with this card this league. Like, I'll replace those with a choke and 1 endurance. Endurance eating stuff in the graveyard is like definitely relevant if my opponent has Thopter Foundry. I think that's all I'm going to do on the play. On the draw, I'll probably junk some Trinispheres or Smokestacks for more copies of Endurance. But on the play, I think this is fine. Okay, what do we got? I think I'm going to keep this hand. This is not a super powerful hand, but it's a hand that gets to do pretty gross things with Ramunap and Dryad, and I think I'm good with that. It's also a hand that just has like stable starting mana and a lot of potential. Like this isn't a hand that just falls apart to a single force of will, for example. Oh, a choke. Love seeing that. Alice on 1. I will begin asking my questions. This question was not answered. Now what? Urza Saga, okay. Well, I don't need to be in a hurry here, I don't think. I think to just keep my opponent from getting any construct tokens, I'm supposed to just go ahead and do this. It may mean that I miss a land drop next turn, and I'm not able to play some of this stuff immediately. But I think that's fine. Like, I have a lot of mana sources to hit, and I've maybe hamstringed my opponent with this card. Okay, sure. What you got? Goodbye, Chalice. Okay, this is the downside of making the play that I did last turn. And that's, I think, fine. I have so much gas. And I think there's very few singular cards that can just make me dead in a turn or two. Unless my opponent has something weird like a Stoneforged Mystic package that has a Cauldron. In which case there very much are things that can just kill me immediately. Yeah, sure. That's fine. This is the downside of playing Urza Saga. Sometimes you draw your one-of targets. And I don't draw a land again. That's fine. I am in, I think, such a dominating position as long as I hit my land drop, though. Like, this is an Urza that's pretty good, but I still think I will just easily take over that over a couple turns. Alright, that's a little scary. Okay, what else you got? Pithing Needle, sure. And Karn the Great Creator. That is not the Karn that I have access to currently. Okay, good stuff. Which one of these comes first? I think Choke. Taking my opponent off of 3 mana is probably pretty important given the things that they are trying to do. Like, they'll still have a decent pile of mana. Oh, nope. Force blue card over the last 2 cards. Uh-oh. Alright, my opponent is tapping a bunch of stuff for mana. They're just going to spin the wheel with Urza. That's a Stoneforge Mystic. Okay. Is there a Cauldron in this deck? There is a Batterskull. While not literally Cauldron, that's basically Cauldron. I mean, I do know how to call what kills me though, right? So the way that I'm going to win this involves making a very large creature of some kind. Preferably multiple. And I'm trying to decide, like, how am I making that large creature? I think it's Tireless Tracker. I think there's some worlds where I assemble some combination of cards, like Dryad plus Tireless Tracker, and I just make a very, very large creature that walls both Batterskull and the Construct. But man, my opponent's, like, I was about to say, man, my opponent's draw lined up really well against what I was doing, and that just, like, twisted the dagger in my back a little bit harder. Looks like we are going for another set of Urza Spin the Wheels. Just a land. I mean, I'm taking 5 this turn, followed by 11. That's bad. So, I can try to do stuff. Let's make a construct. The 2/2 because of my clue token. So it technically blocks some damage, but I'm still taking 9 in this turn cycle. Well, actually, no. My Karn is probably dying in this turn cycle, more accurately. And then I'll just make another. Oh no. Okay. So this is an infinite. So Thopter Foundry, Sword of the Meek, normally means that every every time you activate it, you gain 1 life and get 1 critter. But when you throw Urza into the mix, you also just go and create infinite mana as well, because these things are allowed to go and tap for mana as they enter. Okay, so we are going to see just that there, and because my opponent only has to do this a couple times, I'm just going to let you see how this works. So my opponent sacks to Thopter Foundry, which triggers Sword of the Meek, returning to the Thopter. And now my opponent can tap both of those things using Urza to create more mana. And they sack that to repeat this process. So note that my opponent is gaining each time. So this means that I will indeed die this turn to the construct because my opponent can create infinite constructs. And now that I've talked you through it, I will go ahead and concede to that GG's opponent. Okay, that puts us at 0-4, right? Okay, that probably means that it's time to drop from this event and talk about what went wrong with the deck. Okay, overall thoughts on the deck list. Too slow. So I think it's slow on a couple of different angles. So number one, smokestack is a slow win condition. I do not believe we ever cast a smokestack or did anything with one. Number two, Sphere of Resistance, while being a cool card, slows our 4-drops down, and we're primarily trying to win with 4-drops, so I don't think we get to get away with that. So if I were wanting to adjust this deck list, the first thing I would try to do is try to replace these. Like, maybe we just slot Endurance into the main deck. Maybe you go a little bit more Stomp on the Stompy side of the equation, and you play more creatures. Maybe you try to get creative and find some way to get some removal in here. I don't think the overall idea is bad. Like, Ramwick Excavator plus Urza Saga, or Crucible of Worlds plus Urza Saga, is a cool idea. But I think the specifics of how this deck played out just felt too slow. Like, we have a lot of soul lands, and that means, like, in theory we get to do this stuff consistently and early, but in practice it didn't necessarily feel like that was the case, especially against like Delver decks where a lot of pressure is put on us early. It just felt like I did not have time to get going this league, and I think the quote-unquote dead draw of Smokestack and Sphere of Resistance, making it so that some of my stuff was a little bit harder to cast, didn't help with that. So I would want to reimagine something with these cards. What about the sideboard? The sideboard felt fine. Like, most of it is a Karn package. I was happy with the Karn package that I had access to. Like, maybe the Smokestack should not be there, and that should be something else. A removal spell like a Walking Ballista, or the, what is it, the Sky Sovereign flagship, Sky Sovereign, whatever it is, the 5-mana thing that lightning bolts something when it ETBs or attacks. I think that would be a reasonable thing to put in the place of Smokestack. And I was very happy with the endurances. Maybe those should just be in the main deck, and if that is in the main deck, maybe that opens up your sideboard to play some removal of some kind, you know, some sort of like Clipwing effects or something that can like actually kill Delvers. Not 100% sure there. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please click the like button. That's the easiest way to support me. If you want to see one of your own decks on this channel, donation information as well as this deck list is always in the video description. And if you want to join my Discord and chat with me and everyone else, feel free to do that either by subscribing to me on Twitch via Twitch Prime or doing a YouTube membership. If you have any questions about those, there's an FAQ in the video description as well. Have a great rest of the day, folks.